How's it, guys, and welcome to Get Into Grips. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to go through a couple of images and just sort of share from a photographer side on what clients actually expect sometimes when they ask for custom type imagery or custom type shots actually done. So let me just bring up one of these images. So I'm just going to drag one of these images across the back here. Okay, and let me just move over a little bit. Okay, so as photographers, sometimes we get people where they actually would say, I would like a shot like this, and they'll send you an image that they may have found on Pinterest or somewhere that they actually want a shot done like that. So now you as a photographer, you look and think, okay, all right, how is it actually lit up? So you'll go through the image and see how the image is actually lit up, and then you'll realize, well, this could take you around about 15-20 minutes to actually do the setup, and the client only wants a half-hour or 45-minute shoot or a 1-hour shoot, and you're thinking to yourself, well, 15-20 minutes to set this up, that only gives them a little bit of time, and then they'll throw in something like, I also want a white background for other shots and this type of thing. So I think as a photographer, if it's somebody new that is actually coming through to you and they are asking for all these type of custom type shoots, I think it's important to actually have your pre-shoot meeting with these guys. So invite them through to the studio. We've got an office upstairs, and we just sit down with them and we explain exactly what we can do, how long it is going to take, not on a technical level, but just to make them aware that this shot that they sent through is probably going to take us about 20 minutes to actually get the setup, the right shot, and pull down the setup and change the setup for their white backgrounds. So I think it's important and a key thing to make sure the client has an understanding of the amount of time it actually takes for you to actually do this type of thing. But let me just go and have a look at, you may see me sort of looking over here. My other screen is right over there where Talia's sitting on the switcher, and so I'm going to be glazing over and sort of explaining these images as they come, as we go through them. Okay, so how many lights do you think are used on this shot? So I'm just going to put a question out there, if there's anybody watching, or maybe they can just tell me, how many lights do you actually think this actually took to light up? And while I'm doing that, Get Into Grips was brought to you by Godox SA. I forgot that in the beginning. And Golden Power Batteries. So, any questions? Nothing? Okay, I'm just going to go into this. So, this image actually took 3 lights. It was basically the first light I'm going to actually explain is the light that actually comes down. I don't know if they can see the mouse here. I might even draw on the picture just now. So we got this big floppy hat. And now the big floppy hat was part of the actual image. It was part of the storytelling and part of the actual look and feel of the image. So it was like a weaved hat, so it was actually quite porous, so light could actually come through it. So we wanted the light from the top. We want to be able to catch on the actual, let me see if, there. We wanted to catch on the edge of the actual hat itself. But we also wanted to bring some light actually into the actual hat, so it would actually light in the top section of the actual face where the eyes were, because we didn't want the eyes to be totally in the dark. So we wanted to make sure that we actually lit it up so it was not totally in darkness across the top of the eyes. And then we needed enough light to actually come over to actually hit on the actual hands. And you can see there by the actual highlights and the shadows, the actual light was actually quite a hard light. Okay, so it was coming down from the top, hitting the hat, and then just enough light to come over to actually hit on the actual fingers themselves. So what I used there was the good old 8300 Pro. So we had this with the SM4 snoot. Now some people say, well, how do you get the SM4 snoot onto the 8300 Pro? And it's something that I was fortunate enough to actually have 8400s. So I have my 8400 standard reflector. I don't really have these on my 8400s because I have the Bowens adapter actually on them. So I just use that because it does have the Godox mount. And I just put the SM4 snoot on to there and lock it into my 8300. So that's how I get the SM4 onto my 8300. So that was what was used. So it was a hard light that came down, and I think there you can actually see that was just what that one light was doing. Now it took me probably about 5-6 minutes just to get that light right in position. So remembering the client is well aware of what you need to do, how you're going to do it up front, because if you're now taking 15-20 minutes to set up a shot, they need to understand that and make sure that they know they only have another 20-25 minutes left of their shoot. Then we actually look, if I look at this side, I'm just going to move over a little bit more. So if we actually come down and we actually look at the shoulder area of the actual image. So this was actually done also with the 8300 Pro, but the only difference here is I put a softbox on. It was the 30x120 softbox, and we sort of angled the softbox just so we could feather the light across the top of the shoulder. I wanted enough so it actually highlighted the actual pearls on the actual neck there, and then the light to fall off into the shadows. I'm just going to see if I can move that thing out the way here so I can see. Okay, but also the softbox did actually add in a bit of extra light if you look onto the actual hand. So we just about got a bit of light actually there on the arm, and then just highlighted a little bit onto the pearl bracelet as well. So that was a bit of a bonus. But we also got onto the earrings, so we got the earring actually slightly lit up, and then also the hat. I wanted the hat actually lit up at the back here a little bit more than it is over here, just so that we could actually not have it fading into the background and being highlighted at the top there. I just wanted this section also highlighted at the bottom there to give it a bit of a cool look, because 45-degree angle, so we just wanted to have the two highlight areas on the top and the bottom. So that was the second light, and that was the 8300 in a 30x120 softbox. So the final light that I did on this was, this one is the tricky one, because we were using our projection units. So we were using this setup onto an 8400. So this is the SA17, and this is the SAP projection attachment. So I put this onto an 8400 Pro, and I put the framing blades in. So what framing blades do, it just creates you so you can actually create any type of shape that you actually want. So we created a rectangle, and it was a hard light source, but I didn't want these edges to be hard. So all we did was, once we got the shape right and the size of the shape right, just slightly defocused on the actual projection unit, just to make them a bit softer around the outside. But the problem is doing a shot like this, because now you're only lighting a small part of your model's face. The challenge is the model says no, she's standing still and she's got her eyes closed, but she's rocking. Okay, so you're going to get some shots. We had some shots where it was cut across through the mouth, Then the model had the head too far back and it looked like a Miss Piggy shot because it was just nostrils. So things like that takes time, and it takes the time of getting the shot right and getting it done. So whilst she was rocking, I was looking through the viewfinder and taking a couple of shots, and eventually I got the one where I just got the section of the nose and then I got the full mouth in, and that is what we needed to get. So that was the third light, and that was then the final image, and I really didn't do too much on the edits on this. I just basically put it into black and white. We do have a color one. I think it's on the top of my Facebook page, my business Facebook page. We've got the color one there. But let me just show you the actual setups. So this was the actual setup. So you can actually see, I'm just trying to find my mouse. So you can see there, I'm just going to use my fingers. So you see there's your 8300 with the snoot. Okay, so that was the top light that was coming down. So the model was actually standing in this space here where the light's coming down. There's your softbox with the 8300 Pro, and you can see there it's slightly on an angle where we were actually just getting that light just to brush across the actual shoulder. And then the final one, which is the 8400 with the projection unit on. So with that was the 3 light setup. It's not a standard type setup, so these type of things take time, and that's why I say when working with clients and they want a certain image or a custom type lit image, make sure they are aware of how long it can actually take and how much time it will take up in their book shoot. So, because you don't want a client that's actually disappointed and goes back and say, well, I only had this one image done and like 3 others, and that was a whole 45 minutes, and they walk away disappointed. So if you haven't worked with them before, get them in for a pre-shoot meeting, and that way you'll know that the client is actually happy. And there's another picture of that. So just explaining all the different elements on there. So that's exactly what we did on that setup. Okay, so the important things about doing people, as I said, make sure they know how long it's going to take if they're going to request certain stuff. But then it comes to product photography. Product photography is a little bit different because it does take a while to actually get each light in position, and especially when you're doing multiple lights. And doing multiple lights, the way you set it up is crucial, because you want to make sure that you're lighting a product the way that your client is wanting. So you actually may get a brief. So say for instance Godox, as they came to me with a brief and said, right Karl, I want this shot of the X Pro 2 trigger. We actually want light on the side, we want definitely all the lighting on the locking system, we want lighting on that side, we want lighting on the front, we want to make sure the logo or the X Pro logo is actually seen on the bottom, we want to make sure you actually highlight the Bluetooth logo, and we want to actually have the buttons highlighted across the face as well with some light across it. So there's a lot of things to actually then sort of put in place. So you say, okay, cool. So you then go back, and now you're going to go into your studio and you're going to set up each and every light as a separate light source. So get your X Pro trigger, put it on, I think I had this actually on the Godox smartphone bracket. So I just put it on the top there and took the shot that way. So with that, I set up one light to actually do this whole side. So this side that came down, and making sure that we actually got enough light actually onto the locking system and actually down the side, and to actually light, to make sure there was enough light also that we could actually get this section at the bottom lit up, especially from the side. So I used, I think it was a 900 by 1 meter softbox, which I actually used just to actually light that up, and that was with an 8400 Pro. So that was light number 1. Okay, I think this was about five different light sources, so to actually light up this product. So then what we had was, we had the top of the trigger. Now the top of the trigger actually has a bit of a shape to it, so we wanted to make sure that whatever light we put on the top there was enough light to make sure we got the Bluetooth logo in. Okay, and once we had the Bluetooth logo, what was the light actually then looking like on the top? We wanted obviously to get a bit of a gradation on there to actually show shape, but we also wanted enough light as it goes around the corner to catch the actual corners of the actual top as well. So I used an 8300 Pro with a AD, it was an ADS 85S, and I just feathered the light from that softbox, so it was above the product, and the product was a bit more forward. So literally we had the softbox here and the product was here, and it just feathered the light to create that section on top. But what I do is, whenever I set up shots like this, I actually make sure I do this one. Once I'm happy with that, then what I'll do is I'll actually just turn that light off and forget about it, because I'm happy with where this thing is actually lit. I can see it's not interfering with any other part of the actual trigger. It's just lighting the parts that I actually want, which is from here all the way up the side to the top. When I do this one, I turn this one completely off, and then I just shoot with this one on, to also make sure that that is not going over where I actually have my light set up for the side. So it takes a bit of time to set these things up, but once you've actually done it and you're happy with it, then it's really, really cool on that side of things. Right, so the next thing we obviously needed was obviously some light down the side. So I switch off the top one, and then I actually set up some light on the side. So I think I had a reflector board. Okay, so the actual reflector board on this side was a poly board. Actually just put enough light down the side just to give me an edge. Then what I did was, as soon as I saw that was happy, so with this one on and that one on, I decided let me bounce light back in just to give me an edge light there, and make sure that was all good and clean, and make sure the separation between your product, your black product, against your black background. Okay, so it's important. I love shooting black items on black backgrounds because it gives you a very big insight on how to actually light something and to light it well. Then with that, I then looked at, okay, well, I'm going to need to actually now light up this sort of space here. Okay, so I had an 8300 and an 8400 on this side, and that was actually going to be now behind a diffusion panel. So it just helps to spread the light out a bit, because I needed to spread the light actually across the actual face of the actual unit itself. Okay, so that was the main reason why I also put the diffusing panel on. The 8400 and the 8300 actually had, I think it was 8400 had the standard reflectors on, and the 8300 I think had I think that was bare bulb. Yeah, the 8300 was bare bulb. So that gave me that light across. So it gave me the light coming round here. It gave me enough light actually on these buttons as they were actually coming around, and just highlighting each button softly across the face of the actual unit. So once that was set up, then it was cool. I was all happy with that, and then I moved on to the next part, because remember, now in my brief it was going to be, you need to make sure you light up the actual bottom part where the actual X Pro logo is, this section down at the bottom, and also make sure there was enough light actually in the bottom here. So what I did was, because we had the light coming from this side to actually do the edge, there was a little bit of light that came round. Then what I did was I just put a 110 centimeter reflector at the bottom there. The light then bounced up and gave me this. So once I actually had each and every light sort of set up, I mean it's sort of easier to explain than it is to do the actual setup, because now you're sort of moving lights around, and it can take you a good half an hour, 45 minutes before you're happy, sometimes even longer. It depends on how your day is going. But I was happy with all the lights, and then you just switch everything on. And once you switch everything on, you take the shot, and voila, you get the shot. So actually making sure you're lighting each part up individually. When you just turn your lights on, you're not going to get any surprises. There's your image. So it's important to take the time, plan it out, make sure that you actually are looking to get these images done properly. It does take time, but they come out well, and I actually enjoy, as I said, I enjoy shooting black items on black backgrounds, because it really does, it gives you that sort of ability to think on where light needs to be positioned, on how you want that light to actually hit the actual product itself. I think I shot an 8400 Pro with I think it was a 4-light setup that I did also on a black background, and it was about just about lighting up the inside edge of the actual LCD screen from a reflector, just so it gave it enough light just to see there was separation between your screen and your actual body of your unit. So product photography like this can be very challenging. It can be a lot of fun. I actually enjoy it, and that type of thing. So the screens, I put those in post. So obviously I just took a picture of my trigger with this information on, and then I drop that in on post. And then also the red light, because you may have in your brief they want the actual trigger light to actually be red or active, then you can just do that also in post, and your screen in post. So that was that. Unfortunately I don't have my behind the scenes picture of this one. I couldn't find it. I did try and find it before the actual show and stuff, but this is the final image. Obviously I think I've got a bit of dust speckles and stuff on there which needed to be cleaned up. So if it was for a client, obviously you would actually clean up stuff on there. But you can see that's the actual image. There's your Bluetooth logo, the gradation of light, there's your side light, and that comes all the way down, and it highlights the neck. Because remember, the shape of a product, you've got to think about the shape of the product and how the light's going to hit it, because if you didn't have the light in a way that it was actually highlighting this piece of the neck, so this neck is actually going back in underneath the product, so it's almost like cut back in. So you got to make sure you get enough of that light in there to actually make sure that this doesn't fade away into the background, to make sure there's actually separation from the background to your product. Okay, then we have that logo. Let's just see if we can go across this way. Everything is reversed when I'm looking on the screen over there. So there you go. So you've got a nice little bonus. This is actually from the 110 reflector, which is a nice little gloss highlight actually in the actual top of the locking system. And there was enough light then in from the reflector to give you your X Pro logo, which mine's X Pro C. And there's your nice gradation of light. Also on the buttons, you see there on the dial, on the actual set button, on all these buttons, they've got a bit of light that's actually just kissing them enough just to actually give them the shape and the actual look that you're needing for your client. And there it is on the side, gives you a nice piece of angle on the side there with the light coming down slightly here as well. So that is how I lit that one. So I'm just going to draw on here. So we had, let me get my brush. Let me put my glasses on and get my brush. And I'm just going to make it a nice bright color. Alright. Alright, so where's my mouse here? Okay, so if I look here, we had the one light there, we had the light from up above, we had a reflector board actually here just to light up this side edge. We had two lights actually here, an 8400 and an 8300 was a little bit lower down. And then we had a 110 reflector board throwing light up in that side. So that was it. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, six different light sources to actually just give you that little product highlighted the way it is. And I was happy with the shot. I actually used this image. I actually wanted to shoot this image just for pushing out stuff when I was doing stuff when I was an influencer, just pushing out like an X Pro trigger advert, and that's what I actually used and shot it. So it took me about, I think, 45 minutes to an hour, I think, to shoot it. So I mean, it wasn't bad. Things can take a bit longer. Obviously, some things need a little bit more thinking and a little bit more planning, but that was that light. So that was 8300 pros, 8400 pros, reflector boards, 110 centimeter reflector. Yeah, and that was it. That is how that one was actually lit. Is there any questions there? Nothing. Okay, cool. I know this was probably going to be a little bit late notice on the stream, because we have been looking and moving streaming service providing. Just want to get these out the way. So obviously I spent about probably a week just making sure that we actually looked at streaming via a different streaming partner, and so didn't have a lot of time to prep for one of the models to come through. So I thought, let me just put this little segment together, how to actually light products, how to actually even work with a client that's requesting a custom type shot, because they may want to come through your door, get this image done and 100 other images. Okay, that's the way they don't have an understanding of the amount of work and effort you have to put in as a photographer when it comes to lighting. So it's an important thing. Pre-shoot meetings, if you haven't worked with a client before, pre-shoot meetings, sit down with them, explain to them exactly what you need to actually expect from the actual shoot. Tell them, look, this type of setup is going to take me about 20 minutes, half an hour to do, and then probably another 5 minutes just to change the lighting setup for the other 20 minutes of the shoot. So I can't emphasize that anymore, because a lot of photographers do have people that walk away and they're disappointed. You may not know it, and all of a sudden now that person, I come to another photographer and said, this last photographer I went to, blah blah blah, and it's not the photographer's fault. It was an expectation that the client had and maybe wasn't explained properly, and that's why I emphasize pre-shoot meetings are a must. You know what, have your space, meet them at a coffee shop or anything like that. But it is a must when you're looking at this type of things on a smaller scale. I mean, if I get a commercial work in, I will actually go and sit with either the person who's managing the art direction, the person that's actually responsible for the brief, all of that type of thing. I would actually make sure I speak to those people, especially when doing a commercial shoot, because it's the same thing as if you're doing a personal shoot for a model or a personal shoot for a friend. Just make sure they have the understanding and you have the complete understanding of what you need to do as a photographer as well. So put everything out on the table and get that cleaned up and stuff. All right, so any other stuff that is coming through, because I'm going to probably call this one a night just now. So obviously any products that you are looking at getting from Godox SA, you can go to www.godox.co.za. Talia will put up the banner just now, and so she can actually, you can see the code. And the same thing also, golden power batteries, anything photography wise, stands, eyepieces for your camera, batteries, backgrounds, you name it, they've got a whole load of stuff. And you can also use my code there, which is on the screen. I think it's over there. Yeah, over there. I actually got it right first time, eh? So as often I'm like searching, okay, it's over here, but it's over there. So you can go to Golden Power Batteries. They have a whole load of stuff, and I get all my backgrounds from them. And there's one that I picked up the other day, a pink background, which we're going to be doing a shoot on getting to grips with a pink background. I'm just finishing off the planning on that one, but it should be quite fun. Also, YouTube channel for Godox SA. If you have not subscribed to the Godox SA YouTube channel, you must. We're going to start pushing out a lot more content, a lot more videos. You'll catch Sherin actually on F-Stop Live, interviews with up-and-coming and established photographers, and great interviews, great content. And it's actually nice to be able to see other people actually on the show and to get to see their work as well. It's like a real nice show for showcasing photographers that are there. Another thing you need to be subscribed to is the Godox, this side, eh? It's right here. No, it's right there. Right here. Subscribe to the WhatsApp. It's the Godox SA WhatsApp channel that you can actually subscribe to. So if you miss anything on Facebook that was pushed out by Godox SA, you'll be able to get it on their channel. And also they have some other fun things they put in. They have polls and everything, you know, and just to sort of get some people's feedback and interactive sort of community going, which is very cool. The other thing I do want to mention is, obviously when I do these type of ones next time, I will actually be pushing the images out onto social media and actually asking the question pre the shoot. So if I do another show like this where I'm going to have a couple of images, I will push them onto social media and actually ask you guys, how do you think I lit this? So you guys can give me some feedback sort of during the week. So by the time we actually get to the show, there will be a bit of interaction already on the images, and then we can actually discuss the images in a bit more detail, and going forward create quite a cool sort of interactive type sort of show with you guys. But I think that is it for me for now. If there's anything else or any other questions, then please put them in the comments or contact me, DM me, WhatsApp me if you're on my WhatsApp, anything, and I will get back to you. I will answer any questions you guys actually have. And as I said, we are on a different streaming platform. So if you are watching this live, please give me some feedback on how the quality was, how the sound was, because obviously I'm busy actually. I've sort of taken it on to try and get it as as best as we can, as better as we can. I mean, as best as we can to make sure the quality is actually going out fine for you guys. And then also, if you are watching the recording, let us know what the recording was like afterwards, after the show has been done and dusted, because it's that type of feedback is important to us and Godox SA to actually make sure we are producing quality and pushing out stuff for you guys in the right way. But I think that's it. If there's no questions, no nothing, then I'm going to be off. And thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the WhatsApp, the YouTube. Be informed, keep up to date, and cheers for now, and we'll see you online again soon.